Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to be talking about why I invested in analog gear for my recording rig. First things first, if you are new here, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification, it helps me out a ton. It helps me keep making these fun videos. And please check out the description below. Down there are links to my website, my music, and some deals as well. So if you're watching this video, I'm sure you understand the in-the-box mixing method and out-of-the-box mixing method, and also a hybrid setup. And of course the hybrid setup, which is part in the box and part out of the box. And that is what I've decided to do. I've always done everything in the box, except for when I first got my recording setup, and it was a PCI Delta 1010 LT card, and I had to use a Behringer Eurorack mixer to get it into my computer. But ever since then, I've just used a USB audio interface that plugs right into the computer. I never ran off-board compressors, preamps, EQs, anything like that. So for the last 15 plus years, I've always just done everything in the box, and I've loved it. So you might be asking, why the hell have you switched to a hybrid setup? And let me tell you the reason why. One of my most recent projects under Rebuild the Empire took me forever to mix. And I'm almost confident that the final product I put out was not the best I had along the way. I just started literally going crazy, and I was being insane about the mix on it. Nothing sounded quite the way I wanted it to sound. And I took some time off and tried to remix it again, and I was just lost in this black hole of second guessing everything. And the gateway of letting that happen was being able to go in and remix and remix and remix and remix over and over and over. And it opened my eyes to, I love the idea of being able to go in and tweak things over and over and over. But then again, are you ever done with it? And it delayed me months on my other projects and put me way behind the ball. And I could not let that happen again. So I'd be driving in my car, hear something, oh, I need more body in that snare, whatever. Oh, let me just go home and listen to another snare on a track. Okay, let me adjust this and adjust that. Okay, now I'm gonna export it, then I gotta master it again. Just the whole thing, which is a non-stop. It was hell for weeks and months trying to get it dialed into the point where I just threw my hands in the air and said, I'm gonna go with this mix that I have now, end of story, because I'm getting behind on everything. So I had to figure out a way to fix that. And I figured with analog, it would kind of be more of a concrete start. Here's what you're working with, go. It tends to make it more difficult because of real-time exporting to remix and remix and remix again. I want to be more surgical with my first mix. I don't want to have mix version 30 or 20 or whatever it is. I want to have my initial mix be the best mix I can do. And I felt analog gear would help me with that. And I really wanted to focus on spending more time crafting the actual track that's going into the interface and into my computer. I wanted to make sure that that initial signal, that audio track is as best as it can possibly be with compression EQ before it ever touches my DAW. I track and record all of the time, and I am 1000% guilty of getting a tone that will work, and I'll just kind of clean it up or fix it in the box. And that is a horrible way of thinking, and I've done it way too many times over the years. And there have been times where it's absolutely screwed me and I had to figure out some sort of alternative solution. So that to me was super important, is getting that initial signal, really crafting that sound of the bass, of the guitar, of the drums, whatever it is, crafting that sound before it actually gets recorded. I feel with a lot of technology, we tend to kind of cut that corner a lot. And as I said earlier, it really slowed me down in one of my last projects of getting it done and out the door. So if I'm starting with a really good take, not just musician-wise, but a really good sounding take, then I can be less reliant on what I'm having to do in the box. And I feel there's even just, there's art within that, making sure your preamp is set up right, making sure your EQ just right, your compression set up how you want it. It's something I'm really enjoying and falling in love with. And to me, the sound quality difference. I know in the box, mixing and plugins are getting so good, but I felt like I could tell, maybe it's placebo, I could tell a difference right off of the bat when it came to using my analog gear. It seemed to give that depth. I watched a million YouTube videos of people comparing the plugin version of the hardware version and things like that, and sometimes you could tell a big difference and sometimes you couldn't. I feel like a lot of that had to do with how the test was set up. And that's part of the reason I wanted to build out my rack slowly in case I got the first piece of equipment. I'm like, maybe this isn't for me. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, snake oil, analog gear, schmanalog gear. I'm sticking it in the box. But the first piece of analog gear I got was my preamp from Warm Audio with the EQ built into it, and right off the bat, running bass into it and guitar. I was sold and I was already looking for all the next pieces I wanted to buy. So like I said, having that quality track going in and just having it go through the analog gear just on the front end, which is, you know, my preamp, EQ, and then my compressor, it just going into the DAW, it sounds so good right off of the bat. Better than what I can get to sound from plugins. And I'm not the master mixer, plugin, anything like that, but just someone who records nearly on a daily basis, tracking ideas, a finished product, just being able to work with this analog gear, it sounded so good, just almost plug and play. And I understand the more I get to know the actual analog gear, it's only gonna sound better and better. Another very important piece of the analog gear too for me is I'm a very hands-on person. I like driving cars with manuals, I like touching things, I like doing things with my hands, and turning knobs on analog gear, I feel like when you twist that knob and you're just listening and not looking at meters, you're just listening, I feel like you can get a better sound and you can dial it in much better than if you have a mouse, you're just kind of clicking and dragging. It might just be me. I feel like there's probably other people out there like that too, but having those physical knobs to turn, I feel help me a lot when getting the sound I need / want. I feel like I'm physically changing the sound versus the computer changing it, if that makes any sense. So another thing that kind of came to me later in the game when switching over to this hybrid setup is I wanted a set number of plugins in the box that I would pull from when needed. And of course, I will need them and use them. I use Ozone, 9, and things like that. There's definitely plugins that are my go-tos for sure that are in the box. But one thing I thought about was I've been using Slate for years and spending about 15 bucks a month on it, and it's been fantastic. But something that crossed my mind is I'm almost stuck with spending that $15 a month forever. Let me explain. The thing that sucks about subscription-based plugins is, let's say I want to sever the ties with them or just kind of move on from them. I then have all these tracks I've mixed with these plugins on, and let's say I've severed my subscription with Slate, and a track from 2 years ago, someone says, hey, I really want this track, but can you take the bass out, take the guitar, whatever it is, vocals, and I go and I open up that project, and since I haven't been using the subscription service for the plugins, suddenly it's gonna let me know, hey, plugin missing, you know, no subscription, and I'm gonna have to remix that song. So as this thought came to me, I wanted to nip it in the butt immediately. So as I got my analog gear, I canceled my subscription to Slate, and I went, and at the time, Waves was having a crazy good deal on a lot of great plugins, so I went and actually spent the money and bought these go-to plugins. Now you might be saying, what's the problem with $15 a month when you just drop thousands of dollars on analog gear and plugins? Well, that money is spent and gone. I had the money, I'd rather have that be put into those things and stop that nickel and diming every month forever. And you might think of a different way. Having a subscription for plugins is great because you get updates, you get new ones, things like that. I love that idea, it's fantastic. But I didn't like the idea that I was chained to that subscription, $15 a month, me giving them money every single month, no matter what. So like I said, I want to sever that immediately, buy my own actual plugins, not subscription based, have my analog gear, and just have my toolbox of my go-to plugins and analog gear. I hope that made sense. Did that make sense? If it didn't, tell me it didn't in the comments below. It makes sense up here, but doesn't mean it makes sense coming out of my mouth. And of course, there's the downside that I feel is the thing that everybody knows, and that is the cost of analog gear. No, I didn't go out and buy original Pultecs or anything like that. I went ahead and found warm audio gear that I've heard rave things about, and then I went ahead and hopped onto Reverb and other places and found the gear I wanted, used secondhand or B-stock for a lot less money. And out of the 5 pieces of gear that are in my rack right now, I have saved about $1,200 on it, buying it secondhand or B-stock. And they've all come in great shape like new. So if you're looking at getting analog gear, I would definitely recommend getting it secondhand from a site like reverb.com. I absolutely 100% recommend it. Because with that $1,200, $1,500 I've saved, that's enough money to buy some more analog gear possibly. Or a guitar, or buy more guitar pedals, or whatever the heck you want to spend your money on. Well, I hope you found this video interesting. If you did, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Comment below on your thoughts on analog versus in the box versus hybrid. How are you thinking about making the jump or doing some sort of hybrid like myself? Let me know in the comments below. And until next time, see you later.